Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 1009B, and today's date is June 28th, 2016, and the title of the episode is U.S. Travel Warnings in Turkey have been extended to the end of July. Now, before I get started, I just want to make an announcement. I uploaded an interview with Andy Hoffman. It is on the X22 Report Spotlight YouTube channel. You can go right over there and view the video, or you can come over to the x22report.com site, scroll down a little bit, look over to the right-hand side, you'll see the video there, or you can go to newssentinel.com. Same thing. Scroll down a little bit, look over to your right-hand side, and you'll see the video there, and you can play it right on the site. Now, the FBI, they're out there continually telling us how people are being radicalized into the Islamic State. We know they use patsies, they find these individuals, they coerce them into doing something that they normally wouldn't do, and then they arrest them. And of course, most of these court cases get thrown out because it's entrapment. Now, there's supposedly an Islamic State kill list. And the FBI decided, you know what? Let's not alert any Americans that were placed on this secret Islamic State kill list. They didn't notify the local police. They didn't notify anyone. The question is, why wouldn't they? Because they keep telling us they're looking to find these people who are being radicalized. They're looking for the Islamic State. Why wouldn't they take the extra step to say, hey, listen, we have this list. People are on there. And they're looking to come after you. And we see right now is that this Islamic State list it's on encrypted websites, and most of the people on there were never notified. But the question is, why didn't the FBI notify them? Was this being used for propaganda? Was there no Islamic State really going after any of these people? Is this completely fake? Because it seems like the FBI is not taking this too seriously. And usually when they kind of avoid things like this, it means that they're not real. Because we know the Islamic State is the proxy army of the United States government central bankers. We know that no one's being radicalized because patsy after patsy, it's proven that, guess what? This is all entrapment. The FBI set these people up. So then we have to come to the conclusion that this is also fake. So the State Department, they're spending $21.5 million next year for a propaganda outfit designed to combat the Islamic State on social media. This is called the Global Engagement Center, GEC. This division will be part of the United States State Department, and they will have the authority to hire any individual who can change the narrative on social media, which means they can go on there, they can lie to the people, create their own propaganda to try to change what is going on any of the social media. And this has not just with the Islamic State, with anything. And we can see right now that this program is going to be expanded. The mission will be far beyond combating terrorism. The GEC will also sponsor and fund foreign journalists who are not required to disclose that they received funding from the U.S. government sources. So they're going to have journalists out there who are being paid off to create lies, propaganda, to try to change the narrative of the story in social media to the story of the central bank and the U.S. government. Wow. Freedom of the press, freedom of expression, controlled by the U.S. government central bankers. So what they're really trying to tell you is that, listen, we can't have you hear the truth. This is why we're going to create propaganda to change all the stories that you're hearing, to be in line with what we want you to believe. We know they've been doing this for a very long time, and it's been very tough in the world of the internet. They were able to do this with corporate media They can control it, but now they're moving towards the internet. They need to control this last area of people out there speaking freely, reporting on what's really going on. This is their last area of control that they need. They have control of creating currency out of thin air. They have control of the corporate media, but they're losing the narrative in the social media arena. And this is why they're creating this. Now we see that the European Union, we talked about how they want to create their own army, and it looks like they're going all the way. And they're going to be creating the true United States of Europe. So what they're looking to do, France, Germany, they already have a blueprint. They're going to do away with individual member states. Under this proposal, countries will lose the right to have their own army, criminal law, taxation system, or central bank. All those powers will be transferred to Brussels. Basically, these countries are going to lose their sovereignty. They're so desperate to rescue this European Union that they're going to go full force into trying to bring all of these countries together and really get rid of government and get rid of everything, and everything will report to the leaders of the EU. German Chancellor Angela Merkel is telling people that it is vital to keep any other members of the European Union from leaving. This is how worried and desperate they are. We'll have to see how this turns out. Because right now we see a lot of other countries out there saying, you know something, we should be doing the same thing as the UK. We should have a referendum, and we should vote, and we should see if we should stay or leave. Now, a lot of the government employees don't want this to happen, so they're coming down hard on those people that want to protest. They're saying we will not allow this, and we can see already that this is not freedom, this is not democracy, this is dictatorship at this point. Now, we see Egypt Air, their black boxes that were found, they were damaged, and it looks like one of the two black boxes that were found, they were repaired. And the Egypt's Investigation Commission, they're going to be looking into this to see exactly what has happened. They'll see if they can get everything off of this, and we'll have to follow up on this and see what has happened. Now, out in Ukraine, we understand that there's a drill going on. We understand that Kiev has a lot of their military assets right up on the contact line. The OSCE, they are getting prepared and ready to have Kiev sign an agreement saying that they have to withdraw from the contact line. And they're expecting them to sign this Wednesday, tomorrow. Now, we already know that they signed this. They signed the Minsk II ceasefire agreement. So we're having another document telling them to do the exact same thing. Out in Afghanistan, the Pentagon officials have confirmed that, yes, the airstrikes on Saturday in Afghanistan, which killed not just the Taliban commander, but also 6 hostages who were held by the Taliban. Now, the Pentagon has confirmed the strike took place, and the U.S. investigation suggests that the Taliban's narrative is correct on exactly what happened there. Now, out in North Korea, we see South Korea is saying that North Korea, they have a short-range Scud missile, which is developed, that can reach the U.S. naval base in Japan. And this is coming from the South Korea's military intelligence service. And the Scud is called Scud-ER. And it can travel about 1,000 kilometers or 620 miles. And all of this is being done because the U.S. and South Korea, they have begun official talks on the deployment of the Terminal High Altitude Area Defense Missile System. They want this put into place. So they are continually coming up with this propaganda to make everyone believe that, yes, this is possible, this is why we need it. Again, we're seeing military assets placed all around this area. And of course, this is for North Korea, this is for China, It's for Russia. And all of this is for World War III. Now, back in 2015, we know that Turkey shot down a Russian jet. And Turkey, they never apologized. They really didn't say much to Russia. They said that it was Russia's fault. They flew their jet into their airspace. Remember, the Russian jets, they were not armed to go air to air. They were only armed to drop bombs. So even if they flew into the country, Turkey didn't have to come down and fire upon this jet. They knew what the mission was. They knew exactly what they were there for. If you actually look at it, Turkey has entered Greek airspace many, many times, and the Greek have never shot down one of their jets. They complain about it, but they haven't shot it down. So Erdogan came out on Monday, and he apologized for the downing of the Russian aircraft. And he expressed his condolences to the family. And he said that Turkey was ready to take any initiative in order to relieve the pain and the damage it inflicted. And then all of a sudden, they're saying that, no, we're not going to be paying any type of compensation. We never said anything like this. Actually, we're not really apologizing. But it looks like Putin wants to speak to Erdogan. And they're going to have a phone conversation on Wednesday. And we'll have to follow up on this and see what occurs. Now, the United States, they're continually blaming Russia for pretty much everything. They're provoking them over and over and over. Now it's moved into a different area where they're saying that Russia is now harassing U.S. diplomats. They're saying that Russian security agents, traffic police, they're the ones who are doing the harassing. The intimidation against American diplomats, embassy staff, and their families in Russia and other European capitals is increasing. So Russian aggression has moved to harassing diplomats. So you can see what they're doing at this point. They're continually pushing the idea that Russia needs to harass, needs to provoke, that they're very aggressive. All of this is preparing the people for what is coming, and that is war with Russia. They're trying to make everyone understand that this is going to be our enemy. Now, Russia has complained because the U.S. guided missile destroyer Gravely, they breached international navigation safety rules by coming very close to a Russian frigate in the eastern Mediterranean Sea. And they're saying that the USS Gravely approached the Russian frigate on June 17, passing across her course at dangerous distances of about 180 meters, which is 55 feet. And they're saying that U.S. sailors in particular neglected Rule Number 13, which stipulates that an overtaking vessel must keep out of the way of the vessel being overtaken. And they're saying that they also violated Rule 15, which says that the vessel that has another vessel on the starboard side must yield and avoid crossing ahead of her. And we can see that the U.S. is continually sailing ships, flying planes, very, very close to Russian military assets, to China's military assets, and all of this is being done to provoke these countries. And of course, what happens here in the corporate media, they blame it on the other country. And we can see why they're doing this, because they're trying to build the propaganda. Now, the U.S. is looking to deploy Israeli missile systems on the Russian border. They're looking to get the short-range missile systems from Israel to add to the European network of missile systems to deter Russian aggression. We see Russia is bringing in more military ships. It looks like they're loaded with military trucks, tanks. They're heading to Syria right now. We see Iran, the Iran's Supreme National Security Council. They have arrived in Moscow on Tuesday because they're discussing what is going on in Syria. Now, very interestingly, we know in Syria, the U.S. has special op teams. We know France, we know Germany, Norway, and many other countries that we probably haven't even heard of yet have their teams inside of Syria. Now, we know they've been training the terrorist groups, al-Nusra, al-Qaeda, the moderate rebels, are all one and the same. they're training them for this major offensive. We also know there's a training drill that was going on in Jordan. We know the military assets were all left there, troops were left there, and the question is, what are they planning here? Now we know a lot of military assets have been pouring in, weapons, surface-to-air missiles that have been handed to al-Nusra. We know Turkey has received upgraded military hardware. We know that there's travel alerts all over the place. And then we get word that U.S. Special Forces, they're vetting opposition group leaders in Syria and all the other terrorist leaders and training them on how to call in precision airstrikes from the coalition forces. Who are they striking? Are they striking the Islamic State? Are they striking Al-Qaeda? Are they striking al-Nusra? Of course not. They're the ones calling the strike in. They're going to be striking Assad's forces. So the United States, they're identifying groups that can handle this, and they've been training them all this time. This is another indicator that something is about to happen in this area. And we just keep piling them up. We see out in Turkey, in Istanbul, there was an explosion. There was gunfire. Could be a false flag, depends how this all turns out. Most likely it is. We'll see what Erdogan says. It's probably someone in Syria, probably the PKK or anything like that, because they need to get into Syria, and they keep showing us that, look, we're being attacked by Syria. So the United States, they extended the travel warning in Turkey. The one that was dated March 29, 2016, they extended to the end of July. They're saying that U.S. government personnel in Turkey, they need to leave. Make sure that you're not in the areas of Kilis, Sirnak, Van, Sirte, Bingöl, and many others. It's all the southern part of Turkey. U.S. citizens should avoid areas in close proximity to the Syrian border. They need to be away from this area. Make sure the families on the military bases are still leaving. This is another indicator. We see that the Islamic State, they released a video threatening San Francisco and Las Vegas. And we know all of this is fake. We know this is all propaganda to get us all indoctrinated in the thinking that, yes, the Islamic State is coming after us. That they're going to be attacking the United States. They're going to be attacking Europe. But we know that this is all an inside job. We know they're getting ready to move the next event forward. Remember, the economy is deteriorating very, very quickly. They didn't expect the Brexit at all. This is a complete black swan type of scenario here. They're trying to get everything completed because they don't want the economy coming down, so they need the UK to step away. They need to reinforce the EU nations and say we are a strong European force here. Because the next step to all of this is blaming a group, blaming a country for the entire economy collapsing. Because they already have it planned on how they're going to bring it back, bring it down. They already have it planned on when they're going to do this. And they don't want anything messing up their plans. Now, sometimes it does happen where their plans are completely messed up. But we can see right now that they're trying to do whatever they possibly can to keep their plan on schedule. And we're hearing from a lot of people that the economy might come down this fall, maybe go into 2017, early spring. We don't know for sure, but we're seeing a lot of indicators. We're noticing a lot of economic indicators showing us that the economy is deteriorating very, very quickly. We're seeing indicators that are showing us that things are really, they're ramping up out in Syria. We've been tracking the military assets. troop movement. We've been following the travel warnings. We've been watching the drills. We've been looking at everything being prepared for what is going to happen in that area. And we're getting closer and closer to August. We're getting closer to the fall. And at this point, everyone needs to be prepared. Now, can things change? Of course they can. I mean, we're looking at indicators, but we can see already the central bankers thought they had UK in the bag where they were going to remain. Everything was set, and it didn't work out. So something else can come out of left field. I mean, all of a sudden, Deutsche Bank might collapse. The derivatives might just all of a sudden explode or implode, and that can cause a chain reaction. And they realize as we get closer and closer to this collapse scenario that anything can trigger it. And they don't want anything to trigger it. They want to trigger it. So we are getting closer. Things can change rapidly as we've seen. And we need to be prepared for what is coming. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.